Let me run faster, it's already 7 a.m. Vivian muttered to herself, her breath coming in short bursts as she rushed toward the hotel where she worked. The morning air was sharp and cold, but she barely noticed. The clock was ticking and she was already late. Her heart pounded in her chest, and her heels clicked sharply against the wet pavement, echoing in the early morning stillness. As she entered the restaurant, the manager, Mr. Anderson, was already waiting for her. His eyes were narrowed. His lips pressed into a tight line as he walked toward her. "Come here," he snapped, his voice full of anger and disappointment. "Why are you late again? Didn't I warn you about this?" "I'm sorry, sir," Vivian stammered, rubbing her forehead in embarrassment. "The traffic was terrible this morning. It took longer than I expected." Mr. Anderson's face hardened, his patience clearly worn thin. "I don't want to hear excuses, Eve. No more sorry next time. Get to work now, or I'll find someone else to take your place." His voice was cold, and his eyes didn't leave hers. Vivian nodded quickly, the weight of his words pressing down on her. She turned and hurried to her post, the fear of losing her job hanging over her like a dark cloud. As she began her duties, her mind raced. "God, please help me," she whispered quietly to herself. Her hands shook as she worked. "I can't lose this job. Took me 30 days to get it, and I don't even have a certificate. Please heal my uncle. I don't want to keep giving him medication every morning before I go to work. It's taking up all my time, and I'm so tired." Just as she finished her task, a thought crossed her mind. She had to collect the money from Mrs. Beasy, the woman she helped with laundry the day before. The rain was still coming down in sheets, but she grabbed her co-worker's umbrella and set off for Mrs. Beasy's house. The cold rain pelted her face, but the promise of her payment pushed her forward. She hoped that today would finally bring some relief. In the midst of the storm, Eve's attention was caught by an unusual sight. An old man was crawling on his hands and knees through the filthy water that had collected on the street. His beard was matted with mud, and his clothes clung to his frail body like wet paper. His feet were bare and bloodied, leaving a trail of red in the murky water. He struggled to stand, but his strength failed him. He collapsed, falling again and again into the black, stinking water that flowed between the buildings. "Help me," he whispered, but his voice was barely audible over the roar of the rain. No one could hear him. The streets were empty. Everyone had retreated into the safety of their homes, hiding from the storm. The old man's eyes fluttered closed as despair took over. He thought he would die alone in the filth, like some forgotten stray animal. But then something amazing happened. Through the storm, Vivian ran toward him. Her clothes were soaked through, and she was using a torn plastic bag to shield her head from the rain. Her eyes widened in shock when she saw the old man struggling. Without thinking, she rushed to him, her heart filled with urgency. Vivian knew she couldn't leave him there. As she helped him up, she felt the weight of the moment, realizing that she was about to change this old man's life forever. Vivian was 24 years old, but her hands told a different story. They were rough and cracked, the skin hard like tree bark, from the years of hard work she'd endured. Each day, she worked tirelessly in the bustling restaurants of Victoria Island, starting at 4 in the morning and not finishing until 10 at night. 18 hours of scrubbing floors, cleaning toilets, and polishing windows until they sparkled like diamonds. Her body ached, but she never stopped. Vivian's life hadn't always been this way. When she was just 8 years old, her mama passed away. The sickness that took her was slow, creeping in like a thief in the night, stealing her breath little by little. Vivian could do nothing but watch as her mama withered away, helpless to stop it. Her papa, he was never around. He ran away long before her mama got sick, afraid of the struggles and the poverty that would come with it. He left in the dark, a coward who couldn't face the hardships. With no family to turn to, Vivian was sent to Lagos to live with her uncle. He was kind, but life was hard. As time passed, her uncle grew sick as well, and Vivian found herself caring for him, bathed him, gave him his medicine, and took him to his small shop where he sold bags just to survive. She did everything for him every single day before heading to work. She became his caregiver, sacrificing her own time and energy, just to make sure he was okay. She had no choice. Life had already taken so much from her, but she had to keep going, no matter how tired she was. She never went to school because there was no money for school fees or books or uniforms. Instead, she learned to read by looking at old newspapers that people threw in the gutter. She learned to count by counting the 20 naira notes people gave her for cleaning their dirty offices. Her biggest dream was to save enough money to buy a small shop where she could sell pure water and bread to her neighbors. But that dream seemed as far away as the stars in the sky. Even though Vivian was very, very poor, her heart was bigger than the ocean and warmer than the sun. She gave her last piece of bread to hungry street children. She carried heavy loads for old women who could not carry them alone. When sick people fell down in the street, she helped them get to the hospital. All the people in Lagos called her Mama Heart, because she loved everyone like they were her own family. Papa! Papa! Vivian shouted over the loud thunder. She knelt down in the smelly water and put her strong arms around the old man's shoulders. Can you hear me? Are you hurt? The old man opened his eyes slowly. They were the color of honey mixed with tears, and they looked at Vivian with surprise. My daughter, he whispered in a voice like wind through dry leaves, you should not be out in this dangerous storm. You will get sick. And you should not be lying in this dirty water, Papa, Vivian said with love in her voice. Come, let me help you stand up. My house is not far from here. The old man was so light that Vivian could lift him easily, like picking up a small child. His body was cold like ice, and he was shaking like a leaf in the wind. Vivian took off her only jacket and wrapped it around his thin shoulders. I have no money to pay you, my daughter, the old man said as they walked slowly through the flooding street. I am just a poor old beggar with nothing. Vivian's laugh was like music, sweet and beautiful even in the storm. Papa, since when does kindness cost money? We help each other because we are human beings. That is what God wants us to do. They walked together through the muddy streets of Lagos. The water was up to their ankles, and it smelled like garbage and sewage. Dead rats floated past them like tiny boats. But Vivian held the old man tight and kept him safe until they reached her uncle's house. The house was beautiful, but sickness has made her uncle run bankrupt. They are just managing. Sit here, Papa, Vivian said, helping the old man to the plastic chair. Let me light my stove and make you some hot tea to warm your body. She struck a match and lit her kerosene stove. The flame danced like a tiny orange person, making shadows move on the walls like ghosts. She put her only pot on the stove. It was old and dented and had a crack in the side, but it still held water. While the water was heating up and making bubbling sounds like a baby laughing, Vivian found her only towel. It was thin and had holes in it, but it was clean and dry. She gave it to the old man so he could dry his wet face and beard. You are so kind, my precious daughter, the old man said. His voice was shaking not just from cold, but from amazement. In all my long life, I have never met anyone with such a beautiful heart. Vivian's smile was like sunshine breaking through dark clouds. Papa, God gave us hearts so we can love each other. If we don't use our hearts, what is the point of having them? The old man felt tears coming to his eyes. Not sad tears but happy tears. 4 months and months, he had been walking from place to place, and no one agreed to help him. But this young woman, who had almost nothing, was treating him like he was her own grandfather. Vivian opened her small wooden cupboard that stood in the corner like a tired old woman. Inside she had only a small cup of rice, some salt, and half of a small onion. This was supposed to be her and her uncle's food for the next 4 days until she got paid again from her cleaning job. The money her uncle saved has already been used to pay hospital bills. But she did not think about that for even 1 second. Anyways, when my uncle returns, I will cool something for him to eat. She washed the rice grain by grain, picking out the tiny stones that sometimes hide between them. She chopped the onion, and it made her eyes water like she was crying happy tears. She cooked everything together in her cracked pot, stirring it with a wooden spoon that had belonged to her mama. The smell of cooking rice filled the tiny room like invisible flowers blooming. It smelled like home and love and caring all mixed together. The old man watched Vivian work with wonder in his honey-colored eyes. "Here, Papa," Vivian said, putting a chipped bowl in his hands. The bowl was white with blue flowers painted on it, but some of the flowers had worn off from years of washing. "Eat slowly and eat all of it. You need strength in your body." "What about you, my angel?" the old man asked, holding the bowl but not eating. "This smells like all the food you have in your house." "I ate before I went to work," Vivian lied, even though her stomach was making loud hungry sounds like a growling dog. The truth was, she had not eaten anything since yesterday morning. "Please eat, Papa. Food tastes better when it is shared with love." The old man ate very, very slowly. Each spoonful of rice was like medicine for his hungry body. With every bite, he felt warmth spreading through him like honey in his veins. But it wasn't just the food making him warm. It was the kindness of this beautiful young woman that was healing his broken heart. While he ate, Vivian found her thickest blanket. It was old and had been sewn back together many times with different colored thread, but it was soft and warm like a hug. She wrapped it around the old man's thin shoulders like she was wrapping something very precious and valuable. "You know what, my daughter?" the old man said quietly, his voice like gentle rain on leaves. "You remind me of someone I love very much. You remind me of my daughter." "Tell me about her, Papa," Vivian said, sitting on the floor next to his chair because there was nowhere else to sit. "What is she like?" The old man's eyes became cloudy with sadness, like when the sun goes behind dark clouds. "Her name is Adunni, and she was the most beautiful girl in all of Lagos. She had a smile that could make flowers bloom and a laugh that sounded like church bells ringing." He stopped talking and looked out the small window where rain was still falling like silver tears. "We had a terrible fight many years ago. She wanted to marry a young man who was very poor, a mechanic who fixed cars in the street. I was proud and foolish, and I told her that if she married that poor boy, she was no longer my daughter." Vivian felt her heart become heavy like a stone sinking in water. "What happened then, Papa?" "She married him anyway," the old man whispered, and his voice cracked like dry wood breaking. "She said she would rather be poor with love than rich without it. That was 18 years ago. 18 years since I saw my beautiful Adunni." The old man's tears mixed with the raindrops on his cheeks. "I was too proud to say sorry. I kept thinking she would come back and beg me to forgive her, but she never came. And now I have lost everything. My business failed. My house was taken away. All my money is gone. I am just a foolish old man looking for his daughter so I can say sorry before I die." Vivian listened with her whole heart. She could feel the old man's pain like it was her own pain. "What is your name, Papa?" "My name is Alhaji Mustafa," he said. "But everyone used to call me Alhaji Mori. I used to be a big man in Lagos. I had many businesses and many houses. But pride comes before a fall, as they say." "Papa Mori," Vivian said softly, "it is never too late to say sorry. Love is stronger than pride. Maybe your daughter Adunni is looking for you too." Alhaji Mori shook his white head slowly. "No, my daughter. Too much time has passed like water under a bridge. She probably has children now, a new life. She has forgotten her stubborn old papa." "A daughter never forgets her papa," Vivian said, and her words were like medicine for a wounded heart. "Love doesn't die just because we make mistakes. Love waits patiently for us to come home." All through the night, the storm raged outside like angry spirits fighting in the sky. Thunder crashed again and again, making the small house shake. Lightning lit up the room bright as day for quick moments before darkness came back. The wind pushed against the thin walls, trying to blow the house away. But inside Vivian's tiny house, everything was peaceful and safe. Alhaji Mori slept on Vivian's bed, covered by all her blankets. Vivian slept on the hard floor, using her thin wrapper as a cover and her folded clothes as a pillow. She didn't mind the hard floor or the cold. She was happy she could help someone who needed help. In the morning, the sun came out bright and golden, painting the sky with colors like a beautiful painting. The storm was completely gone, and Lagos looked washed and clean. The air smelled fresh like new leaves and hope. Children were already playing in the streets, jumping over puddles and laughing like bells ringing. Alhaji Mori woke up feeling stronger than he had felt in many months. His body was warm and rested. His stomach was full from Vivian's delicious rice. But most important, his heart felt lighter, like a heavy load had been lifted from his shoulders. "Good morning, my angel," he said to Vivian, who was already awake and watching him with caring eyes. "Good morning, Papa Mori," Vivian said with her beautiful smile. "How do you feel today?" "I feel like God has given me a new life," Alhaji Mori said, sitting up slowly. "You have shown me what real kindness looks like." Before Alhaji Mori left that morning, he reached deep into the torn pocket of his dirty shirt and pulled out something that made Vivian gasp with surprise. It was a golden necklace with a green stone that sparkled like a piece of the ocean. "Please, my daughter," he said, trying to put the necklace in Vivian's hands. "Take this as a small thank you for your kindness." But Vivian stepped back and shook her head hard. "Oh no, Papa Mori. I cannot take that beautiful necklace. It looks very expensive. You should keep it or sell it for money to buy food." "This necklace belonged to my dear wife who died 10 years ago," Alhaji Mori said, his eyes soft with memory. "She would be happy to know it went to someone with a heart as pure as yours. Please take it. It will make this old man's heart happy." Vivian looked at the necklace sparkling in Papa Mori's wrinkled hands. She could see that giving it to her would make him feel good about himself. And she could also see that it meant something very special to him. "If it will make you happy, Papa Mori, then I will keep it safe," she said, taking the necklace carefully. It felt warm in her hands, like it had been sitting in sunshine. "But if you ever need it back, you know where to find me in Lagos." Alhaji Mori's smile was bigger than the morning sun. "You are not just an angel, my daughter. You are the best person God ever created." They hugged goodbye like they were real family. Alhaji Mori picked up his walking stick and started walking down the street that was still wet from the rain. Every few steps, he turned around to wave at Vivian, who stood in her doorway waving back until he disappeared around a corner lined with food sellers and barbers. The next day, Vivian went back to her difficult work cleaning offices on Victoria Island. She woke up at 3:30 in the morning while it was still dark and cold. She took a bus that was so crowded that people were pressed together like sardines in a tin. The bus smelled like sweat and perfume and roasted corn all mixed together. Her first job was cleaning the bathrooms in a big bank. She scrubbed toilets until they were white as snow. She mopped floors until they shined like mirrors. She cleaned windows until they were so clear that birds sometimes flew into them by mistake thinking they were flying through air. Then she went to clean offices in tall buildings that touched the clouds. Some of the people were nice and said, "Good morning," when she cleaned their rooms. But others acted like she was invisible, like she was a ghost they couldn't see. A few were mean and complained that she cleaned too slowly or missed a tiny spot or used the wrong soap. But Vivian never let the mean people make her heart become mean too. She remembered Papa Mori and how good it felt to help someone who needed help. She remembered her mama's words from long ago. "Kindness is like planting seeds. Plant kindness everywhere you go, and beautiful flowers will grow in your life." Every day after work, Vivian was so tired that her whole body ached like she had been carrying heavy stones. But she always stopped at the market to buy a little food. Some gari, some palm oil, maybe a small fish if she had extra money. She cooked simple meals and ate them while thinking about Papa Mori and hoping he was safe somewhere. For weeks passed like clouds moving across the sky. Every morning, Vivian looked out her small window, hoping to see Papa Mori walking down her street with good news about finding his daughter Adunni. But she never saw him again. She asked everyone in Mushin if they had seen an old man with a white beard and a walking stick, but nobody had seen him. Some people said maybe he found his daughter and was happy now. Others whispered that maybe something bad had happened to him on the dangerous streets of Lagos. But Vivian kept believing that Papa Mori was alive and well somewhere. Every night before she slept, she looked at his beautiful necklace and said a little prayer. God, please keep Papa Mori safe, and please help him find his daughter Adunni. They both need each other. One evening, as Vivian was walking home from the bus stop, tired and hungry as always, she saw something that made her heart happy and sad at the same time. A little boy, maybe 7 years old, was sitting alone by the side of the road crying big tears that rolled down his dirty cheeks. Vivian sat down next to the little boy on the ground. What is wrong, little brother? Why are you crying like this? I am lost, sister, the boy said between his sobs. My mama sent me to buy bread, but I got confused and now I don't know how to get home. I am scared and hungry. Vivian looked around. It was getting dark, and this was not a safe place for a small child to be alone. Bad people came out when it got dark and they might hurt a little boy. What is your name, little brother? Vivian asked gently. My name is Kemi, the boy said, wiping his runny nose with his small hand. Well, Kemi, my name is Vivian, and I am going to help you find your mama. Can you remember anything about where you live? What does your street look like? Kemi thought very hard, making his forehead wrinkle like an old man. There is a big generator shop on my street, and next to it is a woman who sells fried plantain. And my house has a red door. Vivian knew exactly where that was. It was about 45 minutes walk from where they were sitting, but in the opposite direction from her own house. If she helped Kemi get home, she would have to walk alone in the dark for more than an hour to get back to Mushin. She was already tired and hungry, and she had to wake up very early the next morning. But looking at Kemi's scared little face, Vivian didn't think about being tired or walking in the dark or waking up early. Come on, Kemi, she said, standing up and holding out her hand. Let's go find your mama. She must be very worried about you. Kemi put his small warm hand in Vivian's big rough hand, and they walked together through the busy streets of Lagos as the sun went down and the city lights started twinkling like earthbound stars. Kemi told Vivian about his pet goat and his favorite toy car that didn't have wheels anymore and his little sister who cried too much. You are very nice, Sister Vivian, Kemi said as they walked past shops selling everything from phone cards to cow meat. Most big people don't have time to help small people like me. That's not right, Vivian said, helping Kemi cross a busy road full of Danfo buses and motorcycles. Big people were small people once too. We should always help each other, no matter how big or small we are. When they finally reached Kemi's street, they could hear a woman's voice calling, Kemi, Kemi, from far away. It was Kemi's mama, and when she saw her son, she started crying tears of joy and relief. Kemi, my son, where have you been? I was about to die from worry. She hugged Kemi so tight it looked like she would never let him go again. This nice sister helped me find home, Kemi said, pointing to Vivian. Her name is Sister Vivian, and she is very kind like an angel. Kemi's mama looked at Vivian with eyes full of gratitude and tears. Sister, thank you so much for bringing my son home safe. How can I ever repay you? Please tell me what you need. You don't need to give me anything, sister, Vivian said with her warm smile. I am just happy that Kemi is safe with his family where he belongs. But Kemi's mama insisted on giving Vivian some food to take home, a bag of rice, some tomatoes and onions, and even a whole chicken. Please take this, sister. It's the smallest thing I can do to say thank you. Vivian wanted to say no, but she could see that refusing would make Kemi's mama feel bad. And to be honest, Vivian was very hungry and didn't have much food at home. Thank you, sister, Vivian said, accepting the bag of food. Your kindness will not be forgotten. 3 months after Papa Mori had left her house, Vivian was cleaning the biggest, most beautiful office building in Victoria Island. It was so tall that from the top floors, you could see all of Lagos spread out like a colorful blanket. The building was made of glass and steel and marble, and everything inside was white and gold and expensive. This building belonged to Mori Holdings, one of the biggest companies in Nigeria. The company made soap and detergent and sold them all over West Africa. The man who owned the company was said to be one of the richest people in the whole country. People called him Big Oga, because he was so successful and powerful. On this day, Vivian was cleaning the executive floor, the top floor where all the big bosses had their offices. Usually, she cleaned these offices very late at night when nobody was there. But today, her supervisor told her to clean during the day because some important visitors from America were coming that evening. Vivian was in the biggest office of all, mopping the marble floor that was so shiny she could see her reflection in it. The office had huge windows that showed all of Lagos below, and the walls were covered with awards and pictures of the company owner with presidents and governors and other important people. She was humming a soft song her mama used to sing when she heard voices in the hallway outside. She quickly moved her bucket and mop to the corner so they wouldn't be in anyone's way, and continued working quietly. The door opened, and in walked 3 men wearing suits that probably cost more than Vivian made in a whole year. 2 of the men were older with gray hair and serious faces, but the third man was younger, maybe in his 30s. He was tall and handsome, with kind eyes that reminded Vivian of someone, though she couldn't remember who. "Good afternoon," the young man said to Vivian politely. Most rich people acted like cleaning ladies were pieces of furniture, but this man looked directly at her and spoke like she was a real person with feelings. "I hope we're not disturbing your work." "Not at all, sir," Vivian said, feeling nervous about talking to such an important person. "I can come back later if you need to use your office." "No need," the man said with a kind smile that made his whole face light up. "Please continue. I just need to get some documents from my desk." Vivian kept mopping while the 3 men talked about business things she didn't understand. Numbers and percentages and foreign markets. But she noticed that the young man kept glancing at her. Not in a bad way, but like he was trying to remember something important. As the men were getting ready to leave, the young man stopped near Vivian. "Excuse me," he said gently. "May I ask what your name is?" "My name is Vivian, sir," she said, wondering why this rich and powerful man wanted to know her name. "Vivian," he repeated slowly, like he was tasting honey. "That's a beautiful name. You seem very familiar to me. Have we met before?" Vivian shook her head quickly. "No, sir. I would definitely remember meeting someone important like you." The man smiled again, but there was something sad in his eyes. "You remind me of someone special. Someone I've been looking for." After the men left, Vivian couldn't stop thinking about the young boss and why he seemed familiar to her too. There was something about his smile, something about the way he talked, that reminded her of Papa Mori. But that was impossible, wasn't it? That evening, when Vivian got home to her small house in Mushin, she sat on her bed and took out Papa Mori's necklace to look at it, like she did every night. The green stone sparkled in the light from her small kerosene lamp, and she wondered for the 100th time if Papa Mori had found his daughter Adunni. As she held the necklace up to the light, turning it this way and that way, she noticed something she had never seen before. There were tiny words carved on the back of the green stone, so small she had to squint her eyes to read them. The words said, "To my beloved Adunni, from your loving Papa Am." Vivian's heart started beating fast like a drum at a festival. Those must be Papa Mori's initials. Alhaji Mustafa. This necklace had been made specially for his daughter Adunni. But wait, if Papa Mori had this necklace, and it was made for Adunni, then why did he have it? Did Adunni give it back to him when she left home? Or was there something Papa Mori hadn't told her about his story? Vivian thought and thought until her head hurt. She remembered every word Papa Mori had said about his daughter. Adunni had married a poor mechanic 18 years ago. She would be about 40 years old now. She might have children. Suddenly, Vivian gasped so loud that her neighbor's dog started barking. What if the young boss at Mori Holdings was Papa Mori's grandson? What if he was Adunni's son? The company was called Mori Holdings. The young man had kind eyes like Papa Mori. He said Vivian reminded him of someone he was looking for. And he seemed to be about the right age to be Adunni's son. Vivian's hands were shaking as she held the necklace. Could it be possible? Could Papa Mori's daughter have a son who became rich and successful? Could that son be looking for his grandfather just like Papa Mori was looking for his daughter? The next morning, Vivian could barely eat her breakfast of bread and tea because her stomach was dancing with nervousness. She had decided to tell the young boss about Papa Mori, but she was scared. What if she was wrong? What if he got angry at her for talking about personal things? She was just a poor cleaner and he was a big, important man. But as she cleaned his office that morning, she kept thinking about Papa Mori's sad eyes and his broken heart. If there was even a small chance that this man was his grandson, she had to try to help them find each other. The young boss was sitting at his huge desk, working on his computer. Vivian cleaned quietly for a while, gathering courage like collecting raindrops in a bucket. "Sir," she finally said, her voice shaking like a leaf in the wind. He looked up from his computer. "Yes, Vivian. What is it? Yesterday you said I reminded you of someone you're looking for. Can I ask? Are you looking for an old man? An old man with a white beard?" The young boss's eyes went wide with surprise. He stood up so fast that his chair rolled backward. How do you know that? Do you know where my grandfather is?" Vivian's heart jumped with joy and excitement. She was right. This was Papa Mori's grandson. "Your grandfather? Is his name Alhaji Mustafa?" she asked, even though she already knew the answer. "Yes," the man said, and his voice was full of hope and desperation. "Yes, that's him. His name is Alhaji Mustafa, but everyone calls him Alhaji Mori. He's my mother's father. We've been looking for him for years. Where is he? Is he okay?" Now it was Vivian's turn to feel excited and scared at the same time. "Sir, what is your name? And what was your mother's name?" "My name is Rashid," he said quickly. "Rashid Adebayo. My mother's name was Aduni. She died 3 years ago, but before she died, she made me promise to find her father and tell him she forgave him for everything." Vivian felt tears coming to her eyes. Papa Mori's daughter was dead. He would never see her again or tell her he was sorry. "Your grandfather stayed in my house one night during a bad storm," Vivian said softly. "He told me about his daughter Aduni and how they fought 18 years ago. He has been walking from place to place, looking for her. He wants to say sorry before he dies." Rashid sat down heavily in his chair like his legs couldn't hold him up anymore. "My mother looked for him too. She hired people to search, but they never found him. She died thinking he hated her." "He doesn't hate her," Vivian said quickly. "He loves her more than his own life. He cries when he talks about her. He said she was the most beautiful girl in Lagos." Rashid's eyes filled with tears. "Where is he now? I have to find him." "I don't know," Vivian said sadly. "He left my house 3 months ago to continue looking for your mother. I haven't seen him since then." Rashid stood up and started walking around his big office like a caged lion. "We have to find him, Vivian. We have to find him before it's too late. Will you help me?" "Of course I will help," Vivian said without thinking twice. Papa Mori had become like family to her, and now she knew that Rashid was his grandson. "Tell me everything," Rashid said urgently. "Everything he said, everything he did, every detail you can remember." So Vivian sat in one of Rashid's expensive leather chairs and told him the whole story. She told him about the storm and how Papa Mori had fallen in the muddy water. She told him about sharing her food and her blanket and her bed. She told him about Papa Mori's sadness and his regrets and his deep love for his daughter Aduni. Rashid listened to every word with tears in his eyes. This was his grandfather, a man he had never met but had been searching for since his mother died. Hearing about Papa Mori's kindness and his suffering made Rashid's heart break and heal at the same time. "He gave me this," Vivian said, taking out the necklace. "He said it belonged to your grandmother." Rashid took the necklace with shaking hands. "This isn't my grandmother's necklace," he said slowly, reading the tiny words on the back. This is the necklace my grandfather had made for my mother when she turned 16. She always wore it, but she must have left it behind when she married my father. They sat quietly for a moment, both thinking about Papa Mori carrying this necklace for 18 years, a reminder of the daughter he loved and missed every single day. I'm going to find him, Rashid said with determination. I don't care how much money it costs or how long it takes. I'm going to use every resource I have to find my grandfather. Rashid was a man of his word. Within 2 days, he had hired 50 people to search for Papa Mori all over Lagos and beyond. He put Papa Mori's description on television, on radio, and in newspapers. He offered a reward of 1 million naira to anyone who could help find his lost grandfather. Vivian took leave from her cleaning job to help with the search. Rashid insisted on paying her salary so she wouldn't lose money. Together, they drove to markets and motor parks and mosques, asking everyone they met if they had seen an old man with a white beard and a walking stick. Some people said they had seen someone like that, and hope would rise in their hearts like a balloon floating up to the sky. But when they went to check, it was always a different old man, and their hope would crash down like a stone falling from heaven. Days turned into weeks. Rashid was spending hundreds of thousands of naira on the search, but money meant nothing to him compared to finding his grandfather. My mother died without seeing her father again, he told Vivian one day as they sat in his car, tired from another day of searching. She carried that pain in her heart until her last breath. I cannot let my grandfather die alone, thinking his daughter never forgave him. During their search, Vivian saw a different side of Rashid. Yes, he was very rich and powerful, but he was also humble and kind and determined. He treated everyone they met with respect, from bank managers to street sweepers. He was just like his grandfather in that way. Papa Mori had also been kind and respectful to everyone. Your mama would be very proud of you, Vivian told him one evening as they ate suya by the roadside after a long day of searching. I hope so, Rashid said sadly. I just pray we find him while there's still time. Finally, after 6 weeks of searching, they got the phone call they had been praying for. It was a Saturday morning, and Vivian and Rashid were having breakfast at a small restaurant in Surulere when Rashid's phone rang. Hello, this is Rashid, he answered quickly. Oga, this is Inspector Bello from Ikeja Police Station, the voice said, breaking the silence. We think we've found the old man you're looking for. He's been in the government hospital for 2 weeks, suffering from pneumonia. The description matches perfectly. White beard, walking stick, and he keeps talking about looking for his daughter Ajoa. Rashid's hand trembled, and the phone nearly slipped from his grip. His heart raced, his mind spinning. Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure it's him? The nurses say he's very sick, sir, Inspector Bello continued. But he told them his name is Alhaji Mustafa, and he showed them a torn piece of wrapper with the name Ajoa written on it. Rashid exchanged a glance with Vivian. Their eyes locked, a mix of hope and fear in their gaze. This could be the man they had been searching for. But why was he in the hospital? We're coming right now, Rashid said into the phone, his voice firm but shaking. Don't let anyone move him. We'll be there in 2 hours. Without wasting another second, they rushed out of the house, abandoning their breakfast. Rashid's car sped through the streets, the engine roaring as he pushed the car faster than Vivian had ever experienced. She wasn't scared. Instead, she whispered a prayer, her heart pounding, hoping they wouldn't be too late. Koforidua Government Hospital was old and crowded. The walls were chipped and peeling, and there weren't enough beds for all the patients. Some were forced to sleep on mattresses laid on the floor, with nothing but thin sheets to cover them. The air was thick with the scent of illness. 2 hours later, Rashid and Vivian rushed into the hospital, breathless and anxious. Where is he? They asked everyone they passed. But the staff seemed too overwhelmed to notice. Patients and nurses moved around in a blur, the noise of the crowded hospital making it hard to focus. Finally, Dr. Michael appeared. Who are you looking for? He asked, his tired eyes scanning the two of them. We're looking for an old man named Alhaji Mustafa. We were told he's here, suffering from pneumonia. Dr. Michael's face softened with recognition. Ah, you must be his family, he said. You came just in time. We almost lost hope of seeing anyone. He's been here for 2 weeks now. Thank you, doctor. I'm here now, Rashid replied, relief flooding through him. The doctor nodded, but his face grew serious. I'll need 500,000 naira to treat him. That's the only way we can help him recover. Rashid didn't hesitate. That won't be a problem. Just save him. A few hours later, the doctor came back to them. You can see him now. He's getting better, Dr. Michael said, leading them to a small, sterile room. Rashid and Vivian walked in, their hearts filled with hope as they looked at the fragile figure in the bed. The old man was still weak, but there was a glimmer of life in his eyes. The long search had brought them here, and now they could finally breathe again. Oh, Vivian, my angelic daughter. You finally found me. The old man's voice trembled with emotion, his eyes glistening as he spoke. Immediately after I left your house, I became gravely ill. I was left helpless on the streets until a kind Samaritan brought me here and disappeared without a trace. I've been here for 2 weeks, waiting for you or my daughter to come. And now you're here. The old man's voice was soft but filled with a deep sense of relief. He then looked at Rashid, studying him intently. Who is this man you are with? He looks exactly like my daughter. Same complexion, same face. Everything. Rashid smiled, trying to hold back his tears. Grandpa, I am your grandson, Ajoa's first son. You know what? Let's leave here now. Come home with us, we'll take care of you properly. You need to eat, freshen up, and rest before we discuss anything further. Glory to God we found you. A few moments later they arrived home. Glory was in the sitting room, arranging bottles of herbs and preparing local medicine to sell. When she saw them walk in, she quickly stood up, surprised. Welcome, brother. Please, all of you sit down, she said warmly, looking curiously at the visitors. Who is this old man and the lady with you? You hardly ever come back with strangers. Rashid smiled and walked closer. Ah, Glory, my only sister. Thank him. He's our grandfather. The same man Mum always spoke about. Without a second thought, Glory rushed forward and wrapped her arms around the old man. Grandpa, we've waited for you for so many years, she whispered with emotion. Her voice trembled slightly, and tears gathered in her eyes. It's so good to finally see you. She gently led him to a chair. Please sit down. You must be tired. Then she turned to Rashid again, her voice softer now. And who is this lady with you? Rashid glanced at Vivian, then looked back at his sister. Pride and emotion filled his voice. This is Vivian. She works as a cleaner at our company. She was the first person to help Papa when he was sick and wandering. She took care of him like family. Honestly, she's been my strength ever since we found him in the hospital. Glory stepped closer to Vivian, eyes wide with gratitude. Thank you, Vivian. You're truly a lifesaver. I mean it, from the bottom of my heart. Vivian lowered her eyes shyly and smiled. Oh, it's nothing really. I just believe kindness should be free. I'm just happy Papa has finally reunited with you all. He told me so much about your mother, and how deeply he regrets everything. As their conversation warmed and smiles began to settle on everyone's faces, Al-Haji Mustafa suddenly spoke. His voice, though gentle, carried a sharp edge of worry. Where is my daughter Ajoa? He asked, his eyes searching Rashid's face. What happened to her? Please tell me. Rashid froze for a second, then glanced at Glory, unsure. He didn't want to break the truth yet, not when the old man was still recovering. Grandpa, nothing happened. She just went on a business trip, Rashid lied gently. Ah, okay. Al-Haji Mustafa sighed in relief. A small smile touched his lips. I'm glad I'll see her again. Yes, Papa, Glory said with a gentle, almost unbelievable smile. You will. Al-Haji turned to Rashid again. My daughter Vivian has suffered a lot. Her uncle is seriously sick. Yet she still cared for me like I was her own father. She fed me, clothed me, bathed me, and never once complained. I gave her a necklace, but that's not enough. I want to do more. Moved by the words, Rashid stepped forward, pulling out a white envelope and 2 shiny keys. Vivian, he said, handing them to her with a warm smile. Inside this envelope is 10 million naira. These keys. One is to a house. The other a car. You'll also be working full-time with us at the company now. No more part-time cleaning. You deserve so much more. Vivian stood frozen. Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. She looked at the envelope and the keys in her hands, completely overwhelmed. Then, with a burst of joy, she threw her arms around Rashid and Glory, her face buried in their shoulders. "Thank you, Al-Haji Mori," she cried. "I thank God for meeting you. May God bless you richly." Tears flowed freely from her eyes now. "I can finally go back to school. The education I've always wanted. Kindness truly does pay." Did you enjoy this story? If you did, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more captivating and inspiring African stories like this one. Your support truly means the world to us. We'd love to hear from you. Drop your thoughts, reflections, and lessons from this story in the comments below. What touched you the most? What would you have done in Vivian's shoes? Thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Stay kind, stay hopeful, and remember, kindness always comes back around.